How's it going, everyone? We're back with another deck profile. I have changed decks recently. This is probably going to be my main, even though I play a lot of stuff. So, let's jump in. It is Marincess. So we'll get this off to the side, and we'll talk about it later. We have got... It's quite late. 3 blue Tang. It is your main starter. It is exclusively a starter, unlike the next ones we're going to talk about. But it does it particularly well. So, you're going to be normal bread and butter combo, dumping a Sea Horse. We'll get into Sea Horse in a minute. But you normal summon it, foolish a card, and then you can, when it's linked off, excavate the top 3 cards of the deck and add any Marincess card that you find. It's kind of the Salamangreat Foxy of the deck, except it's more like Foxy and Gazelle put together on a normal summon. So it's pretty cracked. It also serves to chain block your the card that you'll link it off for, whichever that may be. Typically Blue Slug over here, but we'll get into that later. Next, we have got one of the money cards of the deck, Springirl. This is great. It's still a starter, but you've got to go around the houses a little bit, and it's probably the worst starter of the 3, purely because of how you've got to get things rolling. As an extender, it's brilliant. All you do is banish a Marincess from grave, special summon it. So obviously you can do a few shenanigans where you can loop it. Yeah, and it's level 4, which is important. That'll come up later. It does have a grave effect. You end up sending from the top of the deck. I actually do need to read this. So yeah, it's a little quirky. You can send cards from the top of the deck up to the number of Marincess monsters you control. And then if a Marincess card was sent, you can inflict 200 damage to your opponent. It's one of those effects where, like, I am aware it exists, but it's a little bit of burn. I suppose it's relevant when you're getting close to time, but really it serves, again, to chain block. These kind of going to grave effects are way more beneficial just to chain block what's happening on the field. But Blue Tang's is significantly better if you don't whiff. Next, we have got level 3 extender of the deck, but it's also a starter because of the extra deck. The only effect this has, I believe, is that it can special summon... Well, it's not the only effect. They also have grave effects for the turn after, but that's follow-up, so... this can just special itself at link point. So obviously you've got link 1 access, you've got 1 with an arrow, link it off, recur it back with Blue Slug, special it under Blue Slug, and then you're off to the races because you've got 2 Marincess bodies, which is kind of what you need to get some stuff done. The grave effect, usually these are add backs, you banish it from grave, and I do need to check this again because it is something that I would have to read. As we get further into this, I'll explain. I'm a little newer to this deck. So, banish this card from grave, special summon 1 water monster from your hand. Yeah. So, you can banish it from grave, special summon a water monster from hand to link point specifically. Next, we have got Pascalus, which has another grave effect. And again, it's for follow-up, so I would have to double-check. Off the top of my head, I want to say its grave effect is to add back a Marincess card. I'm going to double-check right now, even though I should have done it before, and Tom's probably going to complain. Target 1 Marincess spell trap in your graveyard, add it to your hand. So yeah, it's pretty relevant. The big thing with this is it's a double summon. So if you normal summon it, you get special on Marincess. Oh, no. If you normal or special summon it, you get special summon a Marincess from your hand. So obviously, 4s are nice. None of these have to be normal summoned to get their effects. I mean, Springirl probably doesn't really... It's not really relevant for Springirl. But notably, if you open with both of these, you can Pascalus, special blue Tang, foolish card, do your normal and your normal combo and your upper body, and we like 4s. So, plus the recursion, which is kind of important. These two are really situational. Mandarin special summons itself from hand or grave to link point. That I think the condition is you have to have 2 Marincess monsters. It comes up. You can just get more free material on field if you have access to Sea Horse already. This is probably incredibly cuttable, but I don't want to break the core down like too much, condense it too much. I know in theory, like, you probably can and probably be fine. But again, I'm new to the deck, so I'm kind of using some crutches. Banish it when it leaves the field if you do that. So you can do some shenanigans where you plus off it quite a bit. Sleepy Maiden, you can target a Marincess on field and special summon it, I believe, at link point. That's the annoying constraint. Oh no, just target a card you control, special summon it. It's a 5, so it has no synergy with anything. It's not normal summonable. It's an absolute pain. But it does give it a protection effect. So while it's in the monster zone, the targeted card can't be destroyed by your opponent's card effects. Everything turns everything into towers. The important thing is, and we'll have a bit of a spoiler for the extra deck, I am still using training wheels with this deck a little bit. So if you have access to make Argonaut, but you've been cut off your Battle Ocean, you can banish this from your grave to equip, not this one, but a link monster to it. So its Spell Trap Negate, which we'll get into later, is live. I would say this is also probably cuttable, and I need to trust the deck a little bit more. Next up, I absolutely love this tech, Icejade Ran Aegirine. It's a 1-card synchro tech. Who cares what else it does? There's probably more, so read it if you want to. But basically, you discard another water monster, special summon it, special summon a token, synchro them off into a nice big unfair 10. The best target of which, in my opinion, that works under your water lock, so you can kind of do it as a plan B, is in the extra deck, and we'll get to it. Battle Ocean. You kind of need it. This is the card that automatically lets you chain block near enough any summon. They're all pretty good at doing it. This card guarantees it, because you would, say, link summon, and then you just chain link to equip links. So if you're doing a search or anything, chances are it'll go through. They also gain attack, and there are other aspects to it as well, which results in them being towers. So it's 600 attack, which I haven't cared to work out. I just know they get big. And any Marincess monster that is link summoned using Crystal Heart is unaffected by your opponent's card effects, so that's what makes them into towers. and the rest of the text appears to be the equip. Notably, they have to be of different names on the equip, so the deck kind of revolves around Battle Ocean. It's pretty cracked as a field spell. Really searchable though, and honestly, you can probably play it at 1. I'm going to put it up here because we're going to have a conversation about that as well. The next card, and the one following that. So, Marincess Dive. Again, the other money card. I genuinely think you can probably cut this to 1 as well. Basically, you've got 2 spells that you probably want to activate, so you're forced into a position where you have one way of searching them, and yeah, you've got one way of searching them, and you probably want to activate both. Dive is fantastic in the sense of it's an E-Telly or a Reborn. It's recyclable with your engine. Brilliant card, and the E-Telly from deck is assuming Battle Ocean's on the field. Next, we've got Wave, which is the in-archetype Imperm, but it can be used from hand if you have a Link 3 or higher. Second guessing here, Link 3 or higher, yeah. So you target, you negate, and then everything's a towers. All of these can probably be cut down to 1. Because this is searchable. These are both searchable. Like, it's an awkward position where you would probably want to play 3 dive, but the 1's per turn. And because they're recyclable, you probably won't anyway. Yeah, it's odd. So, one day, I would like to have the brass Hutspar to cut all these down to 1 and get more space for good stuff. Because it should, in theory, be fine. Next, we have 3 Cynet Mining. Cyburst deck. Pitch a card, search Cyburst card. You're playing 12 starters instead of 9 now. Congratulations. Because of all the equipping, Forbidden Droplet, even though kind of out of format right now, just specifically because of Horizon Heart and Shifter, you will, for this, forever. Going first, setting up 3 Marincess cards and setting one of those in your back, well, the 3 Marincess cards in your back row, you have so much negation. There's also the obvious fun stuff that you can do, where if you're playing into a board, you activate Cynet, pitch, activate Droplet, send Cynet, get double value. Droplet's great, and I think it's coming back as soon as cash gets somewhat addressed somehow. Next, we have got hand traps. I've picked Ash, Droll, Ghost Mourner because of the aforementioned Arise Heart. This would probably be Veiler's or just any other good stuff. And Imperms. Depending how the format shapes up, the Imperms, well, everything apart from the Ash is really negotiable. Normally I would say Ash and Imperm are non-negotiable. The Ghost Mourners I would probably have as Veilers. The Imperms, with having to set them once you've established a board, little bit anti-synergy there, but there's not a better option. If we end up in a Grave format, there's Skullmeister, there's DD Crow, very much kind of Heat Soul theory because of something in the extra deck that we'll get into shortly. But yeah, these are non-negotiable right now, but in future I think it may not be the case, and you can look to the older hand traps that are non-once per turn. The Drolls, it's Droll. Like, it's a Droll format. We need to play Droll. If Droll drops off, I don't know, dude. Pick another. You've got so much space for hand traps. Blue Slug. This gets all your combos going. You add one back from grave to hand. And it gets everything started. Sea Angel searches your spells. Coral Triangle, at the cost of a discard, will search your traps. Coral Triangle, notably as well, is a soul charge from grave, essentially, as long as it's up to link 3. We'll skip over Crystal Heart because that's pretty basic, and we'll talk about Coral Anemone. Coral Anemone is your Reborn. So, think Splash Mage, which kind of tempted on playing in this, but the extra deck's real type. So it's, yeah, I'm sure there's no like, oh, there is. You can add back to hand when it's linked off. So say you have these established, go into Coral Anemone, Reborn something, link them off, add one back to hand, and then you've established your wave at no cost. And this is kind of where the one card combo ends. You need a little bit more after that. But let's be real, you probably amassed a fair bit of advantage there. So 2 and 2 of them. Then the Coral Anemones for the Reborn and the Triangle. Again, as well, next turn, if everything gets outed, use its effect, banish it, special one of them, one of them, one of them, reborn something with the Coral Anemone after its special summon, and you are straight back to a link 4. This deck bounces back really well. If I can pick them up. Crystal Heart, you need it to make things the towers. There's more to it, but read it, I guess. It's not hyper relevant stuff, it's all quite niche. Bubble Reef is great. Pre-Argonaut, I think this was the boss monster, but it's basically Heat Soul. As of the turn after, not the turn it's summoned, but the turn after, you can banish a Marincess from your grave and draw a card. Every time a card gets banished, it gains an amount of attack. 600. It's quite on theme. The other thing that you can do is I think it's banish. No. Send a card from. Send one water monster from your hand to the graveyard, special summon one from banish. So there's recycling on there as well. This is really good in like control-y situations, but it does kind of get just overshadowed a little bit by Aqua Argonaut, which lets you have a spell trap negate by special summoning one of the back row Marincess that has been equipped out. You're always summoning Coral Anemone usually, and unless you somehow manage to get like a 4 on there or something, but you know what, we're talking turn 1. Special summon it out, negate the spell or trap. Absolutely fantastic card, and solely the reason that we play the Sleepy Maiden for reasons we spoke about before, because I am being bad at the deck at the moment. Zealantis is cracked in this deck. You waterlock yourself using Coral Anemone, you don't care. But then if you're going for an OTK, link off one of your link 4s, banish the board. You're the one who has to summon everything back. You can't summon your opponent's monsters back unless they're water, and hopefully they're not. So you have just board wiped them by banishing everything. It's really solid. It's kind of a selling point of this deck specifically. Then we have Icejade Ran. It's more protection for your towers, and it's one of those weird effects that just wins games, even though it doesn't sound like it does. basically, you have a blanket protection on it that your cards can't be destroyed by card effects, I believe. Yeah, can't be destroyed or banished. So there's dumb interactions. If you've been shifted and you chain this, and then they can't even... As a result, they would be banished. I ran into this on, like, a sim game recently. So they couldn't be outed. So, can't be destroyed or banished. If you do that in response to a card, you can banish that card. So, say they, I don't know, activate Race Off, or something like that, or any kind of field spell, or, say, Branded activate Lost, or any kind of important thing that banishing it would really mess it up, then you just choose to activate it then and then get to banish the card as a result. Brilliant. It doesn't sound like it'll win you games, but it will if you start timing it well. So, Age of Iron's great. We want to do rank 4 stuff. So, Bahamut only exists to get Toad. Importantly, do not try and establish Bahamut to try and go into this. You have to have this established, then you do your rank 4 stuff, or like, ideal hand situation, you're putting this up before you commit to play Scene and Hero Proof. Like, more often than not, I find that isn't necessarily the case. So, you can't be in this situation. Say you've reborn something and you're like, I'm going to reborn a 4 because I have another 4. I'm going to go into Bahamut and then Toad, and then I'm going to link my way up into Triangle. Triangle needs a Marincess. If you've already got Triangle established, your Link 4s need a water. Bahamut is a water, it is not a Marincess. So, don't get caught out by that. You can use... Oh, what is it called? There's another Link 3 anyway that's just an add back for any Marincess card. It's pretty good. I did cut Crystal Heart for it until I noticed that you needed Crystal Heart for things to be towers. Yeah, Toad. It's a negate. It's really good negate. You get to add back your resources when you use it. You can recycle the Toad, although you don't really have another way of getting it out, so I don't see why you would. And you can set the destroyed card if you negate and destroy something, so you can steal and plus off their resources. And next we have got Stealth Kragen, which does a lot. Basically, you can waterlock them with this. So this makes every card on the field be water. We have a surprise tool for in just a second. Notably though, it's also a Trident that burns for half the attack of whatever it destroys. Kragen's great. Kragen control was viable for a hot minute. It's just all the stuff around it. So you are incidentally using Kragen to be an absolute degenerate and play whatever you want in your side, because that's very format dependent, much like the hand traps. But do play Gozen. Play Kragen, flip Gozen, game usually ends there. If you're going first. So I would say side it, don't rely on it completely. But that is a functional FTK that the deck has on a lot of decks. Other things that I would suggest, which Tom will put handily up in the card space, are White Howling and Spiritual Water Aoi. I am experimenting with both of them. They are heavy go first cards. White Howling, you have to control a water monster. We don't have many issues with that. And if you do, then you can banish a spell from their grave and then negate all spells for the rest of the turn. So if you're scared of Sky Strikers, play that. You just turn off the deck. You turn off Runic. It's a really nasty water-specific card. Additionally, Spiritual Water Aoi is just a pointer of the Red Lotus slash any other handwritten card. But you get to play it at 3. You've got a Tribute of Water, so you would presumably just leave a loose water out. It's not too hard to do. And then you can just rip a card out of the hand, and we all know how strong that is. So I've been experimenting with both of them. I would say they're more than likely well worth looking into. But I'll just get this sorted, and I'll just run through a couple of like the basic lines, because all 9 of your starters are a little bit weird. Your blue Tang is pretty simple. Send the Sea Horse. Link off the Tang. The Slug. Slug adds back the Sea Horse. Hopefully you get hit off the Tang. Special the Sea Horse. Link it off for Angel. Search the relevant spell trap. Link them off for an enemy. Reborn a thing. Make triangle. Add back one of your cards. Discard it for triangle. Get your wave. So that is off one card. Now that is your basic bread and butter combo. Things start to get a little bit different and a little bit weird with these two. Not these two. I'll just get the Springirl. Springirl, you just have to kind of reverse it. We'll run through Sea Horse really quick. Normal Sea Horse. Link it off the blue Slug. Add back the Sea Horse. Use its effect. It's essentially the same. You're just not getting pluses and you're not insulating. But if you've only drawn Sea Horse, you can still get to that regardless. Springirl can really mess you up because you'll lose one of your searches for it. But needs must, if you only have access to Springirl, I hope you've got some good hand traps. So you would normal the Springirl. Link it off the Sea Angel. Sea Angel will search you Dive. Use Dive to bring back the Springirl. Link them both off for an enemy. An enemy can then bring back Springirl. You can then link off Springirl, the blue Slug, add it back to hand. You can banish the Sea Angel to special the Springirl, and you've got more than enough material in that instance to go into your sea triangle, coral triangle, add back your Springirl to hand, ditch it, get your trap, link them both off for a link 4. The deck's really cool. It does exactly what I need it to do at the moment. Like, pending some upgrades, I think. I am going to keep developing this, hopefully get better with it, make the cuts where I need to, make the deck way more efficient, and I'll get back to you guys on it. But starting out, for picking up the deck and learning, it costs pennies. If anything, if you cut that down to 1, unfortunately the Springirls are mandatory. I think they are running about 15 of your Great British pounds for the playset, maybe a touch more, maybe 20 of your Great British pounds, but they're not too bad, and they're about 7 each. So if you can pick it up, the rest is pennies. This entire deck probably cost me shy of 60 quid. That is because I have an existing collection. Hand traps are expensive, but if you've got them, it's nice and easy. So yeah, let me know what you think. Let me know what you think of the build in general, how you would play it, if you would make those cuts and concessions. I'm already on the fence about doing them, leaning into doing them. let me know, guys. So, like, comment, subscribe, tell your friends, hit the bell icon, do all that good stuff. It really helps. We're slowly growing. It's great. The engagement has been fantastic. And let's change the subject. I'm leaving.